Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the latest narration in the web series The Human from a Dungeon. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 91. Thunra Gruntov, Adventurer Level 28, Orc Nilisonian. The cold air ran up my spine as I stood in front of the altar home trying to work up the courage to knock. It had been a few weeks since the first time I retrieved Nick for training, and Yilda had told me that I could come by whenever. But my nerves kept getting the best of me. The only time people like it when you show up at a crack of dawn is when you're making them money. The reason for my nerves had changed, though. At first, I was worried Yilda hit me. Now I just don't want her to dislike me. It's a silly boy's crush, and I know it. But controlling this kind of feeling is like trying to wrangle greased-up hisses. Things get slippery. I took a deep breath to steady myself and looked up at the sun shyly peeking out over the horizon. Or maybe I'm seeing it like that because I'm the one that's shy. I released my breath with a quiet sigh, steeled my nerve and knocked on the door gently. It swung open almost immediately, and Yilda regarded me with a smug expression. Well, she said. Look who finally got up the courage to knock. Wait. How long have you been standing there? I asked. I wasn't standing here. I was in the kitchen, preparing breakfast. Then out you. I'm very fast, Thunra. Anyway, come on in and grab a seat. I'm just here to pick up Nick. Yes, I know. They're not up yet, though, and I don't get paid to wake them up. I'll wake them up, I said with a grin. Just get in here and plop your ass on the chair, she ordered, moving to the side to let me through. Yes, ma'am. I squeezed past her and heard the door close behind me. I walked to the table, mindful of her nearly overwhelming presence behind me, and did as I was told. The chair was a little small for me, but it's hard to find a chair that fits someone my size. Wonder how guys as big as the High Chief manage it. The smell of an excellent breakfast wafted from the fire counter, but I took my mind off my stomach by looking around the house. It was shockingly normal, as if it hadn't even heard of the two legendary members of one of the most powerful clans to ever exist that called this place home. Way nicer than anywhere I ever lived, but was less gold and gems than I was expecting. Nice place you have here, I said, as casually as I could. Thanks, Yilda replied, as she began working on the food again. It's been a great retirement home. Glad to hear it, actually. Now that you bring it up, do you mind if I ask you a question? I asked. You just did, she laughed, making my heart flutter dangerously. Besides that one, I mean. Sure. I heard a lot of stories about you and your husband. Dangerous gangs broken up, massive monsters brought low. You all did great work. Why'd you two decide to retire? Well, I retired because we were pretty well off and I was pregnant with Nash. The thought of having my child be raised by someone else always rubbed me the wrong way, she said, as she continued cooking. Thus, I never really enjoyed the work. Don't get me wrong. It had its charms, but it was a little too reminiscent of my childhood more often than not. Becoming a pampered housewife sounded like a nice change of pace. So I jumped at the opportunity to collect my pension when it came up. Fair enough, I chuckled. And your husband? Oh, that little shit just retired from the big jobs, she laughed. Too much energy and courage to actually retire from adventuring work. There were a couple times I caught him sneaking into the dungeon, too. Thought about it even. Seems stupid now. Don't think it's stupid, ma'am, I said. If you knew then what you know now, sure, but you didn't, so it isn't. I suppose, and he was being an idiot by sneaking into the dungeon by himself. But then, that's one of the reasons I fell in love with him. He was so damn certain of himself at all times. She laughed wistfully, and even with enough confidence for a team of adventurers, he was humble enough to fall for a homeless orphan like me. Is he the one that got you into adventuring? No, but he's the one who helped me get good at it. Before him, I was a solo act, mostly because I couldn't really trust anyone to have my back, but also because I didn't want to give anyone a chance to put a knife there. I nodded sagely, no story I'd heard 1,000 times. A hard life makes it hard to trust soft things. One day I snagged what was supposed to be a simple herb-gathering job. Musilia flowers, very rare and difficult to get to, but the pay was very good. Too good, as it turns out. I climbed a mountain, slipped past a basilisk, navigated a cave filled with beasties, and got the flowers, only to have a client turn out to be a vampire and quest turn out to be a trap. Whoa, really? I asked, dumbfounded. The guild didn't handle the particulars back then. No, they didn't. And what almost happened to me is why they do nowadays. As fortune would have it, though, that vampire is the reason I met Mercus. He had been investigating a string of disappearances that led him to the very same vampire that intended to make me a victim. He crashed through a door just as the vampire had its hand on my neck, zipped across the room, and relieved the vampire of her arm in a flash. She chuckled. I was dumbfounded for a moment, stuck in a trance as the two of them clashed in front of me. I'd seen plenty of fights before, but I'd never seen anyone move that fast. The strength on display was stunning as well. I vividly remember Mercus ripping a brick from the fireplace to bludgeon the vampire's skull. Mortar be damned. She took a pan off the fire and started adding seasonings to it. The vampire started regenerating, of course, but by then I came to my senses. Mercus, being the confident idiot he was, didn't bring any way to incinerate the damn thing with him. So he used a fireball. It was the only spell I knew at the time, and it wasn't particularly strong. But it did the job. Then he asked you to join him? Nope. The burning vampire set the manor on fire. I got hit by some debris, but Mercus managed to get me to safety. He came to check on me the next day, and that's when he asked me to join him. That could be seen as being pretty romantic, I chuckled. I thought so too. He was the first person to see me for me. Gods, I had such a crush on him. It sent me over the moon when he confessed that he shared my feelings. Mercus was and remains my closest partner and confidant. I'll never love another like I loved him. And there it was. The fluttering had died out and was replaced with a sting. I could try to argue. Ask her if that's what he wanted for her. Say that he'd want her to be happy and move on with her life. But as my dad would say, who the hells do I think I am? She's at peace with her situation. And I'll be damned to 2,000 hemorrhoids before I trample over that. Don't know what makes a man fall for a woman who's way out of his league, but I think that doctor should find a cure to the cause. Glad this weren't my first crush, or I'd have made a damn fool out of myself. Instead, I sat there with a smile on my face, internally crushing the stupid feelings I had until they were deader than Mercus. I'm glad you two were able to find each other, I said. So what's for breakfast? Ground meat, eggs, and tubers, she replied. Not sure if there's going to be enough excess to fill up a mountain like you, though. Don't worry about that, I laughed. Best not to train on a full stomach anyway. There's a good chance you'll lose it. Lose what? Nash asked as he walked into the room. Yulk and Nick followed after him, and they all took their places at the table. The few weeks of hand-to-hand training had built the human up nicely, but he still looked as tired as a half-drowned bird. Guess he wasn't much of a morning person. You excited about training today? I asked with a grin. Can't train today. Gotta leave for school, he replied. Huh? We received the letter from High Chief Ullamark last night, Yulk explained. We'll be boarding a magic cart that should be arriving at the guild today at noon, and then we'll be traveling non-stop to Kirkenna. I raised my eyebrows at the Sork as Yulda placed a plate in front of me. Thank you, I bowed a little. You're welcome. The rest of you can get your own, she said as she took a seat with her own plate. The three boys rose and walked over to the still steaming pan. I waited for Yulda to take her first bite, and then I dug in. It was goddamn good, but weird as housed at the same time. It took a second for my mouth to decide that it liked it. Whoa, I said. This is awesome. How'd you make it? Like I told you. Just some ground meat, eggs, and tubers, she chuckled. Glad you like it, though. Tubers? Like the veggie the dwarves eat? I asked. Yep. Nick needs vegetables as part of his diet, so I've been experimenting. I'll be damned, I said, as the boys returned to the table. It's really good, Nick said as he took a bite. Nash looked at his food and bit his lip a little. Yulda noticed and turned to stare at her eldest boy. He took a deep breath and released it with a sigh. I've made a decision, he said. I'm going to be staying here. Yeah, we know, Nick chuckled through his food. Huh? Nick and I spoke on this at length and decided that even if you attempted to accompany us, we would convince you to stay, York explained. The saga of Nima and Nash has been waiting a long time to begin, and it would be a shame to place a strain of distance upon your courtship so early. But You can help me with expanding your room, Yulda interrupted. Yeah, but the thing with the You'll still be able to go play with the fair folk this summer. I plan on hiring some laborers so that we can get it done as fast as possible. You can use my room while yours is being renovated, York added. All right, Nash nodded. I'll take on some jobs to help pay for the laborers. Nah, you focus on the woman in your life, I said. I'll send some money over. Call it a wedding present. I don't need anybody's coin, Yulda argued. Sure, But even with the maximum pension you get from the guild, you'll have to dip into your food fund. I winked at her. If the other foods you come up with are even half as good as this, it would be a crime against civilization to interrupt your experiments. I think you overestimate the cost of laborers. Yeah, maybe. But I still want to do something nice for you all for putting up with my early morning visits. I'm not exactly poor either, Nash said, then chuckled. I'll gladly take your money, though. Pretty sure Nima's mom isn't going to be able to put up a dowry. Wasn't even going to bother to ask for one, so the extra coin would probably do us some good. Arella's financial situation isn't her fault, Yoda sighed. The Maxim clans had a terrible run of luck, and Argurno, being a piece of shit, didn't help things. Udamark's brother, I asked. Yes. He romanced poor Urella and convinced her to move here with him while he played with the dungeon. Urella had Nima, and then a year later, Argurno got another woman pregnant. With a learn, right? That's right. The Maxim clan's hierarchs couldn't afford to retrieve Urella after some bad luck with investments. She's been stuck here ever since, trying to make a living the best she can. Then he has the nerve to promise to raise both children, ignores Nima for the better part of his time here, then fecked off 4 or 5 years ago and hasn't been back since. I swear, if I ever see that bastard again, I'll castrate him with his own knee bones. That'd be a fight I'd love to see, I chuckled, then grew serious. Should I send the money to Arella instead? She returned to sender, Yilda shook her head. The Maxims have a thing against receiving charity, and Arella is a Maxim through and through. She'd rather die than get a handout. I, on the other hand, wouldn't mind at all, said Nash with a grin. If I remember right, doesn't the thing against getting charity only count for people outside the family? Can't I give her the coin after the wedding? I don't recall, but you best bring it up with Nima before you go making any bold decisions, Gilda said, narrowing her eyes. Apparently, you and bold decisions pair poorly. Nash fell silent, but Nick and Yuk chuckled. I was confused for a moment, then I remembered that Nash had proposed to Nima out of the blue, in front of everyone at the guild. It brought a smile to my face as I finished my food. What do you mean? Nash asked, pretending to be ignorant. You know damn well what I mean, boy, Yoda said. Gods, you're lucky Nima forgave you, or I'd have to beat your ass to the ocean and back. Now shut up and finish your food. Yes, ma'am. All done, Nick grinned. It was absolutely delicious. Thank you, Nick, Yoda said with a beaming smile. The human took my empty plate with him to the sink and returned to the table. Soon after, Nash, York, and Yilda finished their meals too. Nash took the dishes to the sink, looking like a stricken papa. So, do you think I could catch a ride with you all? I asked. Are you sure it's a non-stop journey? York said. It's bound to get uncomfortable. Magic carts are both fast and luxurious, I chuckled. It won't take that long to get to Kagena, and we'll have plenty of room to get good nap in. If you'd rather travel on your own, though, I get it. Don't want to be a bother. No, I'd be happy to have you along. A pair of my pupils, Yina and Namora, will be traveling with us, and I've been rather nervous about their safety, York admitted. Nick and I can probably handle it if we get attacked. But more security will bring me peace of mind. That poor girl, Yoda whispered with a small sigh. What? York asked. Nothing, dear. Just thinking about how they're likely already at the guild hall waiting for you. Oh, yes, you're probably right. I suppose that we should get going. I'll come and see you off, Nash said. We all stood, and the boys said goodbye to their mom. Hugs and kisses on the cheek were exchanged, and watching them made me miss my own mom. Then the three of them were out the door, but I paused at the doorway. Take care of yourself, Mrs. Alter, I said with a soft smile. You too, Thunra, she replied with a smile of her own. I turned to follow her sons, glad that my heart wasn't fluttering any more. End of chapter. I would like to thank our T5 members and patrons, Casper Arnholtz, Jon Creighton, W.R.E, 050, Dragzoon W.R.E, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.